In his address to the country in 1935, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt said, "To administer the dole to the American public is to administer a narcotic. It is a subtle destroyer of the human spirit. The dole is inimical to the dictates of sound policy and in violation of the American tradition." Hi, I'm Kyle Roy with Kentucky Planning Partners. In this series, we're going to walk through your Social Security benefits with the understanding that it's not a dole, it's not a handout, it's not an entitlement. At Kentucky Planning Partners, we understand that your Social Security is your money. And just like every dime that you've saved throughout your career, we don't take your Social Security for granted, and neither should you. In this class, I'm going to walk through Social Security spousal benefits. And there are four main points that I'm going to cover in the class. The first, I'm going to walk through a general history of spousal benefits. Second, I'm going to give an overview of how they work, how they're generated, and what you could reasonably expect. Third, I'm going to walk through the difference between spousal benefits for married couples and divorcees. And lastly, I'm going to try to wrap all these concepts up into an applicable package for you, so you can have some valid takeaways. So the first thing to note, and it's important to understand the history of spousal benefits as they relate to Social Security, because they offer insight into why they work how they do. So we know that Social Security began in 1935, but it wasn't until 4 years later in 1939 that spousal benefits were incorporated into Social Security. But from 1939, it took 38 years, because it wasn't until 1977 that spousal benefits evolved into what we know them to be today. And it's important to understand the context in which they were created. Because from the 30s to the 70s, the quote, traditional American family had women stay home and men going to work. And spousal benefits were created at that time in American history to protect the stay-at-home mom as divorce rates picked up and as death rates among men were relatively at a young age. Back in 1935, when Social Security was created, life expectancy was 63. Today, life expectancy in 2020 is around 84 to 86. So in order to protect the quote, stay-at-home mom, that's the history and the context by which spousal benefits were created. Now, as we go into the overview and the difference between married couple and divorcees, you'll see why that's important. But beforehand, it's really important to understand how your Social Security spousal benefits were calculated. So the first point to know is that if you worked for at least 10 years or 40 quarters, earn your own benefit. That benefit which you call your Social Security benefit, generated from your wage income. That benefit is wholly separate from your spousal benefit. You cannot take your own benefit plus your spousal benefit. You're only going to receive the greater of the two at any given time. You can't choose which of the two to take. Once you file and receive your benefit, you are automatically going to receive the greatest benefit that you're entitled to receive. And it's important to note that your spousal benefits are always calculated off of the full retirement age amount of your current or ex-spouse. So people often ask me, if my spouse takes his or her benefit at 62, will my spousal benefit be based off that lower amount? And the answer is no. Just because your spouse files early, your benefit and the factor determining how much it will be based off A, their full retirement age value, and B, when you decide to take it. If you take your spousal benefit at your full retirement age, you'll receive a full 50% of your spouse or ex-spouse's full retirement age amount. You can still take your spousal benefit as early as 62, and the minimum that would be 32.5% of your spouse's full retirement age amount. So now let's get a little bit deeper in the weeds. Because if you're married or divorced, it's going to have a large impact on what you'll be able to receive. The first thing to note is eligibility. If you're married, you can only receive your spousal benefit if your spouse to whom you're currently married has filed to receive his or her benefit. If your spouse has not filed, when you file, you'll only be eligible to receive your own. If you're a divorcee, however, your ex-spouse must have attained age 62 for you to be eligible to receive a spousal benefit based off them. So regardless if you keep in touch with your ex, doesn't matter if he or she has been remarried, as long as you were married to that individual for at least 10 years, when they turn 62, your spousal benefit will be based on their full retirement age amount. A question I often get here though is, well, what if you have 3 ex-spouses to whom you were married 10 years? Well, unfortunately, you don't get a spousal benefit of all 3. If you had 3 ex-spouses and you were eligible to receive a benefit off all 3, your spousal benefit will be based off the wealthiest of your 3 ex-spouses. So when you go to file your benefits, it's important to know these things because A, you want to have an expectation of what you'll be able to receive. And B, you don't want to be taken advantage of, especially if you're a divorcee. You're eligible to receive a spousal benefit as long as you were married for 10 years or more, regardless of your ex-spouse's behavior. We also want to make sure that by the time you file to receive your benefits, you want to know why you're taking your benefit when you are, how that decision fits into your overall financial plan, and how your Social Security benefits are working with your other life savings to work towards accomplishing your long-term goals. And if you need help with this, if you have questions, I can't encourage you enough to give us a call at Kentucky Planning Partners, because we know and understand that your Social Security is not an entitlement. You've earned it, and we are dedicated to making sure that you maximize and realize the life that you have earned.